Hi everyone, I come to you in my car at the parent pickup line. I keep stretching, trying to find the best opportunity to make videos, and it just keeps going on and on from the next day to the next day. So I'm taking advantage of my idle moments and doing this week's video. So this week you were asked to interview an individual within corrections. The purpose of this assignment is to kind of acquaint you with some of the things that most people really don't understand, and you would only learn from the officer or correctional personnel that's engaged inside of a correctional facility. It's really important to get an understanding of their feelings. I know some of you probably didn't go deeper into it, into the concepts of stress, the shift changing, and the overall atmosphere, and I'll be your interview through this video. So, having worked in corrections for 15 years, I was in direct inmate contact for the most of those years. When I finally left, I was the chairman of classification of roughly 1,500 inmates. And during that time, when I first started, my very first day, I was sent to maximum security and the HRT, which is the high-risk tier. It was my first night on 11 to 7, and I met an individual, an inmate, who was on the high-risk tier, who was suicidal. During that time, that 8-hour shift, and actually a little bit less, it didn't take that long for, we'll call him Richie, and I to get acquainted. I had believed that we weren't supposed to communicate with the offenders. That's what my orientation had told me, and everyone else that I had worked there had told me. And Richie was attempting to reach out to me time and time again, and I finally explained to him that, listen, I have my job to do, and that's to make sure that the 26 inmates that were on suicide watch, that they didn't hurt themselves. And if I had spent most of my time with him, that I wasn't going to be able to watch the other 25 inmates. So after a couple hours, Richie called my name, and I went down to his cell, and he had his arms spread out. He had cut from his with a razor blade from his wrist to his armpits on both sides, and was bleeding out. And he said, "I bet you'll talk to me now." So I tell you that story as one, that it's reality, and two, that it's as an officer, you deal with a lot of different types of stress. There's the administrative stress that you feel that you're not being appreciated. There's the stress from the officers that you may not get along with certain people, and then there's the stress with the inmates, and then there's the overall morale issue. It doesn't matter if a correctional officer is making thousands and thousands of dollars. The money, yes, it's great. When I first started at the correctional facility, I was 20 years old. I had just finished my associate's degree, and in that year, I didn't have any kids. I wasn't dating anybody significant at the time, and I had a roommate who also worked for the sheriff's department. And the two of us had rent for, I think our rent was $500, so it was $250 a month for each of us. And I made about $75,000 that year, and that's back in 1994. So the money was great, but my point in saying that is that after a time, the money doesn't become a factor. It becomes a factor when you can't make your bills, but it doesn't become a factor when you're unhappy. And we talk about the quality of life versus the quantity of life. And I had the quantity, but I didn't have the quality. And I was very stressed out with the administration. I was stressed out with the inmates. And the overall atmosphere at my correctional facility was pretty bad. Morale was honestly horrible. So these are factors that may not have been addressed in your interviews, and those stresses that are associated with the industry kind of for many years were swept under the carpet. Right now we're experiencing the highest rate of suicide among correctional officers nationally. It's roughly around 3 times the national average, and it's a sad reality. So when you're interviewing, you probably ask the perfunctory questions of when did you get your job, do you like your job, what's it like to be inside, and most correctional officers are guarded about their experiences and how they actually feel, the feelings of the job. So I can tell you that if you're planning on entering into corrections, it's a talent. It honestly is, and it's not for everyone. But I hope your interviews went well. I can't wait to read your individual assignments and then your reflections in the discussion area. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Have a good day.